listening to Shut Up and Invest.
All right. Shut Up and Invest fam. What's going on? We're at the Live Wire Conference in beautiful South Beach,
Miami.
J Money, what's going on, my brother?
I'm doing it, man. I'm loving it. Enjoying the sun, the water we got behind us.
You know.
Amazing women have been coming through telling us their story. And this is all about ladies first this week.
We got Miss Danielle in the house who's about to drop the knowledge right now. Not only is she doing a version of virtual investing because she's in Texas, right?
I am in Texas. I've been there about a year and a half.
But that's not your market, actually.
No, not yet. Not yet.
That's the next.
You're going there.
That's the next target.
Yeah, that's the next target. That's on my list.
Tell us, introduce yourself, tell us your market, and we'll get started.
Sure. I'm Danielle 𝗲𝐿, creator of Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, and a few other companies as well. I'm a full-time real estate entrepreneur. I've been doing this for 13 years. Haven't been successful the whole 13 years. However, I'm very successful now. Shout out to me for remaining consistent.
Through.
Yeah, but I'm a tax lien investor and also work in property preservation, which is repairing and maintaining bank-owned properties.
Got it. So how'd you get into property reservation?
Great question. So I got into it because I could not get into the listing side of selling the REO properties. For those of you who don't know, it always has been and still is largely kind of a exclusive good old boys network kind of deal. So if
Politics.
you don't, if you
I think once you get in there, you're in there, and it's hard to get anyone else in there, right?
Yeah, because I mean, but then I get that because if I'm on the other side and I'm getting 700 listings a year that I just get assigned to me, I'm probably not going to be one to let that go neither.
Yeah. I worked for an REO broker my first 8-9 years in real estate, right? Yeah. So in 2007. The crash happened.
Yeah.
So I was right there doing all the REOs, and it was a good time. But there's very, very few of them that can do them, and it's a small network.
Yes.
So you tried to get listings in Illinois.
Yes.
From banks.
Yes. Could not, and they give it out, to a few brokers here and there, but nothing like the volume.
What banks were you trying to get in with?
Fannie, Freddie, of course, the companies, and then Ocwen was a big one. HUD, pretty much any of them. I just wasn't able to make that happen.
It cracked me up because you would know the people who had, and guys, like you said, because I don't know, they were all guys, right? You would know the guys who had the REO listings, and you would see like this one agent you never heard of before have one REO listing.
Yes.
And then have no idea what to do with it. Have no idea about when you get those utilities turned off and turned on, you got to pay that, like no idea. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's looking back, I'm glad that it went the way that it did. There's obviously a lot of money that's spent up front by the brokers. Yes. And I guess I probably just skated over that initially, but maybe I wouldn't have been able to handle having many thousands of dollars out on the street in Chicago where people vandalize properties. Every day.
Oh, yeah. You're getting pipes stolen. Yes, all the time. And then you're dealing like me. Kevin has no idea what winterization means.
Nah, I don't know.
That freaked me out. When I got to Texas doing preservation work, and I would say that, they were like, what is that? Because Texas gets a little bit cold.
For me, winterization means, man, I got to take my jacket off. That's about it.
Yeah.
I've got, actually, the house that I sold to move to Miami, I got because the bank didn't winterize the house, right? So this was like a beautiful house. The bank didn't winterize the house.
Wait, where was this at?
This was in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was there before I moved down here.
Okay.
So I'm like you, I still do most of my stuff in Michigan, but I live in Miami.
Yep.
The bank didn't winterize the house. The pipes froze. Yep. It sat that way for like 2 months before they found out.
Wow.
You ended up running into this hurdle, so you said, let me try to come in from a different angle?
Yes. I did a pivot, which as an entrepreneur, you guys will know you have to pivot quite frequently, or you should, right? Mm-hmm. When things happen, you either, let's listen to one of these people I listen to on YouTube. And anyway, he said basically, why create problems? You either have to accept a situation or deal with it. And it sounds really, really simple. I'm like, that's so profound and so true. Yeah. So that's what I did. I just either accept it or you deal with it. Period.
So you created a company that now is going to work with the good old boys.
Yes.
And you were going to provide a service that they needed.
Yes, absolutely. So all the stuff that people do to properties in the process of waiting for it to be sold, like people go in, they steal copper, they cut the lines, they steal the furnace, the water heater. Sometimes they steal the cabinets. Sometimes they just go in, and if there's a tenant who is living there and they had to be evicted, they'll just trash the property just because. So all of that stuff we correct.
Okay. So you have a preservation company.
Yes.
And they're doing work in different states or just Illinois?
A little bit in Illinois still, primarily in Texas now. Texas is such a large area. So I cover San Angelo County and Tarrant County. which is Dallas.
Okay.
And how did that lead into the investing side of the business?
Tax lien investing. So a lot of brokers, I'm a licensed real estate broker. I have been for
Quick question. Were you a
long time.
broker first before you started the preservation company,
Yes.
or vice
Been a broker since 06.
Okay.
Like a lot of people, I got my real estate license thinking I'm going to learn all this stuff about real estate.
They don't teach you anything.
And you learn nothing about real estate. Like, you don't know how to make money. And a lot of agents are kind of, they struggle initially unless they find someone to kind of help them up, or they are very
learn their
proactive.
own, yes.
So I just was on the more proactive side. So yeah, I got my license, and I've always wanted to be a real estate investor. And I found out about tax liens years ago. And like a lot of people, I just kind of wrote it off like, oh, that's some BS. There's more to it. Because I assumed that because I didn't know how to do something that nobody else did. And then I found out about it. It came across my radar again. I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And it really is a great way to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar.
Can you explain tax lien?
Sure.
For those who don't know.
Yeah. So tax lien investing is essentially going down to an auction, and a few of them are actually online now. And you are acquiring properties that are delinquent in property taxes. And so it can be convoluted depending upon the state in which you're trying to do it. But just for the most part, the people are delinquent, and you're either paying the full amount of back taxes that they owe or a portion of it, and then waiting for redemption to pass. Redemption is the time frame they have to come back and pay everything.
And fix it.
And if that doesn't happen, and then you can become the owner of the property.
If they redeem it, you get what you paid back.
You get what you paid back, plus your interest,
correct?
plus attorney's fees, plus improvements. In some states like Texas, which is like the Wild Wild West, you can actually buy a tax delinquent property in Texas. If it's vacant, you can move into it, or you can rent it month to month. Start collecting rental income during that 2-year time frame, because there's a 2-year redemption there. And then if it doesn't redeem, then you get the property. If it does redeem, you get 25% on what you paid,
Back
which
on your
is
money.
phenomenal.
So in Texas, you can buy the lien. It's vacant.
Yes.
You don't have to wait for redemption period to move in there or rent it out or anything. You can just go
You
right
can
there.
do it up front. Now, that's illegal in most places. However, in Texas, it works.
Everything's bigger and better in Texas.
Yeah, right?
So
I got a question.
every state's not a tax lien state, though, correct?
Right.
Correct. You have liens, deeds, and what we call redeemable deeds. Texas is a redeemable deed state.
Okay.
Are you just doing this in Texas, or?
Texas, Tennessee, and Louisiana is on my list. The reason being, Louisiana sells deeds. They have an online sale once a month. The properties come with title insurance, which is practically unheard of in tax lien investing. And it's still relatively affordable versus a place like a Miami or like California or New York, where things are just ridiculous.
What's the difference between when you buy a tax lien and then when you're in, where'd you say,
Tax
Tennessee
deed.
or Illinois? Tennessee, and you're buying a tax deed?
Well, in most places, if you buy the tax deed, you're buying the property outright. It's a done deal. There's no recourse. There's no redemption. Some places you buy the deed and the owner still has a right to redeem. So that's what I mean by redeemable deed state. Lien, deed, redeemable deed, and
You
a lot
stay
of
away
it.
for the redeemables?
Redeemable is tech. No, I want to invest in tech. I'm going to invest in Texas. It just depends on your comfort level, your level of risk that you're willing to take on, and of course, how much money you got. Like everything.
What's a worst case scenario? If you buy a tax deed that's redeemable, you think you own the property. What's the time period?
It can be up to 2 years.
Okay.
This
You
is
go in
Texas,
there, do
or-
a bunch of things to the property.
Well, you shouldn't. So you can do things that are necessary and reasonable, but you shouldn't go in there and do like this mega rehab, which you've spent, like you shouldn't do that.
Because if they come back and within those 2 years,
Right. Then you're going to have a hard time explaining why you did so much to the property and trying to recoup that.
And that's tax lien we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because
Tax
tax deed, you
redeemable.
buy
We're talking about
tax
Texas.
redeemable deed.
Redeemable
Okay.
deeds.
In
Yeah.
Texas, got it.
redeemable deeds.
Yeah.
When it's just buying the lien, you're essentially now the debt holder versus the county.
Yes.
And they got to pay you plus, in some states, up to 25% of your money.
Yes. Correct.
That's a nice little return.
And it's per year. It's per year. It's per year.
When someone doesn't pay, and I know different states are a little bit different,
Yes.
but in the states that you're in, when someone does not pay their property taxes, how long before it goes to auction?
It could be as fast as a few months, or it could be a year. So Chicago, where I'm from, they have a scavenger sale, which is people who've been delinquent for up to 3 years. And then they have an annual sale, which is just people who have been delinquent for 1 year. Obviously, the more they've been delinquent, the higher the amount of money that they'll owe. And
How does somebody go all the way to 3 years?
Without paying?
Yeah,
some states have
or
that.
without being auctioned off after year one, let's say.
Well, you have, just like with, I kind of equate it to rental properties. So you have what I like to call professional tenants. There are those people who know the law sometimes better than the landlords do. And so they just extend the process, by any means necessary. They'll go to court, they'll make up stories. They say, oh, my grandma's sick, somebody died, I'm on bed rest. And so it plays out that way. When out in preservation, I've seen people who've not paid a mortgage in 4 years.
Yeah, seen that.
It's a real thing. And then still didn't have any money to move. I'm like, what the hell? You've been doing for 4 years, dude.
So you're from Illinois?
I am.
You're from Chicago?
I am.
Okay, Chi-Town.
Southside?
Yeah. Oh, you in Roshana?
Yes.
Southside.
Yes.
So what got you into real estate? Like, what got you into wanting to be in real estate?
So a few years back,
You got your license in 06?
Yeah, I got my license then. I went to a workshop, and actually my very first mentor was presenting, who was a complete jerk, by the way. Brilliant, but a jerk nevertheless. And he was showing checks from flipping. And I said, oh, I'm going to do that. I want those checks.
What year was this?
That was 06.
06.
And
okay.
that's what sparked it. And then I had this thing about, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to be, an entrepreneur, make my own schedule. And I got all of that, but I wasn't ready for it all when it happened. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was going to be like all glamorous
and it's not.
Fabulous. And like, oh, I'm going to make money and just chill out all day. You kind of got to build up to that. That was the part I was missing.
Yeah, definitely. So you got your license in Chicago.
I do.
Did you start off working with investors right away? Were you working with retail buyers? What was your when you got into it? Were you specializing and focusing?
I was working with anybody. Anybody. But that was also problematic too, like not specializing.
Yeah,
that's
like,
I always tend to have the same message, and it really does come down to focus. So I was working with, people who wanted to rent a property, people who wanted to, invest, and then people who wanted to, I was trying to do short sales.
When you first start out, you're just trying to find any way you can make a check.
Yeah. Because they'll tell you, start with your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody
I didn't have it either.
that had the money or the desire or at the same time to buy a house. So I had to, go outside of my network.
I was in a brand new town. I had been there for probably about 6 months. And they say, write down everybody you know from church. I'm like, listen, I've been here for 6 months. Yeah. I know no one.
I know nobody.
Nobody.
Right?
So,
yeah.
You remember your first investment deal?
Yes, I do. I remember my first investment deal. I was doing a flip because I was watching HGTV.
We all were.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, this is it. And I made $26,908.
Wow, oh, your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And then I spent it all. When I tell you I trimmed that money off like nobody's business.
Because you thought it was going to be like that on the monthly.
Yeah, like it literally never occurred to me to oh, do this again. It was like, oh, you did it. And that was it. Mm-hmm. And then all the money, was spent up. And I said, what should I do now?
Was it hard to find another one after that? That experience?
It was. My next one, I've only done 2 flips because that wasn't. Flipping is stressful. It's mad stressful. And
we
it
all
costs
agree
a
on that.
lot of money. And so I did the second one, only made like $15,000. But no, it wasn't hard to find it. It just took me longer because I spent all my money.
And then you said, after this, I need to go into something else.
Yes, that is what happened.
It wasn't it's funny because you made money. Mm-hmm. So why the pivot?
I didn't like the flipping process. Contractors, and I really hate to keep giving contractors a bad name, even though they are well deserving of it. It's funny because everybody I know who's been in real estate as long as I am, they're always still looking for contractors.
Always.
They're always still looking for contractors, which is really, really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate to keep giving them a bad rep, but that's the reason why I got out of flipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to find. Wasn't your vibe?
It's hard to find good ones that are always reliable. And I mean, I get it too because they're always looking for jobs too. And unless you're flipping full time where they know that they can have constant check from you, they're not going to be that trustworthy just to you. So,
what are some of the challenges now in the tax lien and the tax deed business? Because I mean, like everything, right? People sometimes only focus on the good, especially if they want you to sign up for their course and their training programs. What's the real pros and cons in the hustle that you're in right now?
Let's see. Sometimes you run into situations that are very, very difficult where you may end up having to evict someone from a property. That's not, even for preservation or for this, not my favorite thing to do. So you have to be mindful of that. Another issue is money for funding, like as far as if a property needs a rehab and renovation, that sometimes is an issue. Access to credit sometimes is an issue for new investors. Knowing where to invest. A lot of people want to invest all over, and it's really, really challenging to learn the rules of so many different places because they're very different. Like even Illinois and Indiana, which are right next to each other, Cook County, their redemption is like 2.5 years. 18% interest rate per year. Indiana in one county has a 4-month redemption. And so people will learn one process and think that it applies to across the board, and it doesn't. And then the last challenge is that folks think that it automatically goes from lien to deed if you buy a tax lien certificate, and it does not. You can lose all your money if you do nothing.
So different counties have different, even in the counties in the same state,
yes,
will have different redemption periods or different laws.
Yep.
Got it.
And how's the process when you do buy a tax lien? Because you just expressed that it doesn't automatically turn into, I own this property,
Yes.
I own this deed. What's that look like in the market that you're in?
That's actually very straightforward and easy. Like, I love that process because I pay an attorney to do all that, and the attorneys will charge you between $850 to $1,500 per property. And you got some people who are like, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm not paying an attorney. But that's the person who I look forward to blaming if things don't go the way that I intend them to go. The law is very complex, but all the steps and the notifications and the talking and finding out the title search, that's what the attorney does. And you don't ever have to go to any court dates. You don't have to do it. You just kind of sit back and wait, pay them their money, let them work their magic.
Let them do what they do best.
Yeah.
And how long is that process usually?
So let's say the redemption is a year, and after the year expires, you're probably looking at another 3 to 6 weeks to actually get the deed to the property.
Now you pick up this deed, and this property now needs major rehab and to be able to flip, and that part you don't like. So
Right.
what do you usually do in those situations?
I've wholesaled. That's what I
There you
do.
go.
So you're wholesaling.
Yeah, I did. And I've never, so outside of that, I'm not a wholesaler. I know that everybody here is in a wholesaling. But yeah, it's a great way. You don't make as much money, obviously, but you get in and you get out. And you don't have to deal with that headache of finding the contractor and the renovations, etc.
So is the majority? So with the liens that you're buying, you're holding on to some, obviously.
I've
Are you
sold
doing
all of
reno?
them so far, but
sold
I am
some?
going to renovate and rent the two that I'm waiting to pass
You
redemption.
ready to be
on.
a landlord?
I mean, I've had a couple bad experiences with being a landlord,
Yeah,
but
we
I'm ready
have
to
them.
do it again. Yeah, we'll see.
You have short-term memory.
Or you could be, you have to look to seller finance those tax liens too. Then you're just a bank, instead of even a landlord. A little bit of
That's
that.
such a beautiful thing about being at conferences like this and talking to other real estate entrepreneurs because you pick up other strategies. I tend to be like one-track minded, but I literally have never thought of seller financing.
Yeah.
I know what it is, but I never thought to do it. It's like,
Or you become the bank.
That's
You become the
brilliant.
deal. Let me ask you a question. When you pick up these properties, if they still have a mortgage on this property, how does that work?
the mortgages are extinguished during that phase of waiting for the redemption to lapse, and then with the attorney sending out all the notifications to every lien holder that hasn't, anyone who has an interest in that property. So the mortgages are typically extinguished. If they are not, that means the bank wants that property. And typically, if it's in a lower cost area, that's not as big of an issue. If it's a $700,000 house, Bank of America is probably going to show up at a court date like, hey, we need this property back. But if it's
Give me my money.
$50,000 house, that is not an issue.
So most of the time, or 100% of the time, when it comes back to you and now it's your property, it doesn't even have a mortgage on it.
Right. The only folks you got to worry about, just like with anything,
Name the bank.
the IRS, the federal tax liens. If you get one with that, you kind of just stuck with
you
it,
take
right?
that. When I see those because you'll see those on Deed sometimes,
Yeah.
I almost like no.
Yeah, it's like I don't need that smoke in my life. I'm good.
And you
Those
see that
days.
during your research
Yeah.
process.
Oh yeah. It literally says federal tax lien.
When
I've
you're-
seen. Yeah.
When you're buying these liens, are you pulling title? I know you said some come with title work already, but some don't. Are you pulling title work during the research of the property? Or
I have not, because the places where I've invested, the recorder's website has been really, really up to date. But I did just find actually a company in Tarrant County, Texas, and they charge $20 a property because they do volume and they're like really, really well known.
All day right there.
Yeah, so they charge $20. I was like, holy crap. And then also for anyone else, if you don't have that resource, if you make a connection with an attorney, they'll give you a discount on volume. They're not going to give you a discount on your one little deal. You got to pay that $200, $250 or whatever it is. But outside of that, they'll give you a discount.
I used to buy a lot of stuff at the sheriff sale, foreclosure sale. Of course, you have to worry about redemption periods for that stuff, and they come and redeem it. How many properties do you see get redeemed that you're buying on these tax liens where the seller, the owner ends up paying it off and getting the property back?
I couldn't say a specific percentage, but I will tell you a way to kind of to weed out the properties that may or may not get redeemed. So, and again, it largely contingent upon the area too. So if you see a company, or actually you'll see sometimes businesses on there too, if they're behind $1,000, they're probably going to pay that back.
Yeah.
If they're behind $10,000 or even $5,000, that's a different story. And it also depends on redemption too. So if they have 2 years to come up with $5,000, I say it's about 50-50. If they have 2 years to come up with $10,000 or $100,000, that ain't happening, bro.
And so, but you're still going after some of those, or you're not?
Because I haven't, because I'm not. I mean, you do earn interest, but 25% on $10,000 is what, $2,500. So not really like
with the big ones.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, we got a little segment we like to call Smart Money Life segment.
Okay.
Got a couple questions.
Okay.
So if you had to go back in the day and talk to your rookie self, brand new into the game, but knowing what you know now, what would you drop on them?
I would have done tax lien investing
from the beginning.
From the beginning. I would have done property preservation from the beginning. I won't say that I regret going to college. I kind of do, because I don't use anything I have an accounting degree, which I literally have not used in forever. But I would have pursued
a niche,
being an entrepreneur from the very beginning.
Right, yeah.
A lot of people don't do it because they're scared to bet on themselves. I would bet on me from the beginning, like point blank period.
And go right into a niche right from the beginning.
For sure.
Is there a specific tool right now that you can't live without? Software,
system,
app, Excel spreadsheet.
You know what? It's Entreport. I'm feeling Entreport right now.
What is that?
Entreport is a CRM, does email marketing, landing pages, text message marketing, everything you want. It's about $500 a month now. Okay. But I'm telling you, it's pretty dope.
You're using that for your email blast, text blast, everything right now?
Email blast, talking to people. When I do webinars. Oh, and how could I forget? Webinar Jam. Oh my God. Webinar Jam is like whoever invented that deserves like a Nobel Peace Prize. Because you can literally do a webinar and run it on autopilot 24/7 forever.
Are you using
what's that called? Webinar Jam?
Yes. Webinar Jam.
You don't know about Webinar Jam?
No,
dude, get your life together.
I don't know.
Like you can
I'm
do
gonna go
training.
get it together right after we're done talking.
And it's like $400 for the year, and you can have a webinar running wherever.
24/7.
24/7.
Who are you using these webinars for?
That's for the so I have an online coaching platform as well.
Okay.
Because I don't want to do one-on-one and face-to-face and blah, blah, blah. But the Webinar Jam software, you run the webinars, and I have a ad agency now who manages my Facebook ads, and so they're responsible for getting traffic into the webinar, and then from there they go to the online coaching platform.
You're coaching
genius.
You're coaching investors or
people who are wanting to do tax lien investing and preservation, but typically a lot of them are in real estate in some capacity already.
And the last question of the day, you did mention that you were going to start being a landlord now, but what's your number one current present day investment goal?
My current day investment goal.
Is it being a landlord and start collecting doors, or you got one that's a little bit higher?
It would be like a 100-unit apartment building.
You're looking for...
that I obviously will never manage. That a property manager. Yeah, that's it. 100 doors.
You basically manage right now with preservation.
Yeah,
you're pre-managing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the end game. 100 units. Man, if you mess that up, I feel like you just deserve to fail in life.
And you think you could pick that up through the tax lien strategies?
I've not come across 100 unit. The most I've seen is like 24. But
that's a nice starting point, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Very nice. Listen, Danielle, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, awesome.
How'd you like the live wire?
Love live wire. It's so dope. So many smart women. I'm just like, oh, y'all are so brilliant. I love it.
Being down
and men too. Sorry.
We're the only ones here.
Yeah, I know.
We'll take that though.
We appreciate that.
Listen, we respect, we love the fact that you guys are focusing on getting the women up in the game and surpassing all the expectations and the goals that you guys have. So we're watching and
I got 3 daughters, so hey, I'm with you guys. Ladies first.
You said 3
I got 3 daughters.
Oh, 3 daughters. Oh.
Daughters. Not dollars, no. I got 3 daughters.
Okay, cool beans. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it. All right, guys.
All right,
How can we find you? Your coaching
follow
program.
my YouTube channel. It's under Danielle Pierce. Also Instagram, same thing. And my Facebook group is Women, Wealth, and Real Estate.
There you go.
Can we come in that group? Or is like
You
just
can.
women only?
I got a wig.
I can't go downstairs in the
It's like
ballroom.
10%, no, 7% men in the group.
Oh yeah, you let them in there?
Yeah,
The husbands and the boyfriends.
Actually, I don't know where
No,
they
they
come
probably
from.
some single men looking for.
Yeah.
Them hustlers.
Yeah.
in the group.
Yeah. There's a few creepers in there, but we allow it.
All right, thanks, Danielle.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Hey, thank you once again for listening to Shut Up and Invest. If you guys are motivated at the thought of continuing your real estate journey with us, then visit shutupandinvest.com. There you can join the community and take advantage of more free resources. And don't forget, please like, comment, and subscribe to this podcast so you're first to hear our new content every week. Most importantly, get active and don't forget to shut up and invest.